All right, welcome back. In this final explainer, we're going to tie everything together with a simple, really practical technique. This is where we move from just thinking about these ideas to actually putting them into practice in a way that can bring a ton of clarity and a real sense of empowerment.
So let's just jump right in. Have you ever asked for something, maybe set a big goal, and instead of feeling all that excitement, you just feel kind of anxious? Divided? Part of you wants it, but another part is just full of doubt, and you end up feeling completely stuck. Well, that internal conflict is exactly what we're going to talk about today.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll unpack what it really means to get into the feeling of already having what you want. Then we'll look at why it's so important to clear out those internal contradictions. We'll also talk about the right way to use your intention, put it all into a simple practice, and then we'll do a quick recap of the core principles of this whole series.
So what on earth does ask as if received actually mean? Well, it's a huge shift in perspective. Instead of coming from a place of want or longing or need, you're shifting into the actual feeling, the embodiment of already having the very thing you're asking for.
So, the author we've been following, Genevieve Behrend, her whole idea was that this isn't about, trying to bend reality to your will. It's more about understanding that your mind can work in harmony with these universal creative laws that are already in place. You're not trying to change the rules of the game, you're just learning how to play with them.
Okay, this idea of a mental picture is really, really important. It's not just some random daydream. Think of it more like a functional tool. A very specific focal point, kind of like a lens, that helps to center this universal creative energy and bring an idea from the invisible world of thought into the visible world.
And that's the whole point, right? Your mind is the center of this creative operation. It's the workshop where this general, universal energy gets individualized. It becomes your idea, your specific creation, kind of like how an architect's blueprint is the starting point for a real building.
Okay, so this is where a lot of us get tripped up. Probably the biggest obstacle in this whole process is that internal contradiction, that nagging conflict between what we say we want and what we secretly, deep down, fear or believe to be true. And you can see the difference so clearly here. On one hand, you've got this anxious asking, which is just scattered energy. It's doubt, fear, contradictory thoughts, and this constant sense of lack. But on the other hand, you have aligned intention. It's focused, it's clear, and it's rooted in trust and that feeling of already having. The big takeaway here is that an internal contradiction just cancels out any forward momentum. It's like you're hitting the gas and the brake at the exact same time. You're not going anywhere. Real creation is supposed to feel more natural, more unforced than that. So this naturally leads us to the quality of your intention. It's not just about what you're asking for, but how you're asking for it. The source material talks about needing guardrails for your mind to keep your thoughts on track.
Basically, the idea is that this power works best when you're not coming from this little, separate ego that's trying to force things. It works when you see yourself as part of a much bigger creative process and you act in harmony with it. That's the right use of your thought power. So integrity and patience, those are the guardrails. They're what keep your intention pure and stop you from getting sidetracked by a million scattered desires. It's about having this calm trust in the process, like a baker who perfectly shapes the dough and then just trusts it's going to rise.
Okay, that's enough theory. Let's make this super practical. How do we actually do this? We can boil all of this down into a really simple, actionable practice.
It's actually pretty simple. First, you state your desire. Clearly, simply. No long, complicated stories. Second, you form that mental picture of it being totally complete. Third, and this is the big one, you generate the feeling of its reality, right here, right now. And finally, you just let it go, with a sense of cheerful trust. You release it.
And this right here, this is the key mental shift you have to make. You're not trying to make something happen. You're simply acknowledging that in the invisible realm of thought and potential, your desired picture already exists. And I'm going to say it again because it's so important. The feeling is the most important part of this whole thing. It's the engine. It's what aligns your personal energy with that universal creative energy. That feeling of the wish fulfilled, that's what builds the bridge. Let's look at a few everyday examples to make this really concrete. So at work, instead of thinking, gosh, I hope I get that promotion, the shift is to feeling, I am performing my new role with confidence. In relationships, instead of, I wish I could find someone, it becomes, I feel so grateful for the loving partnership in my life. See that? It's a huge move from just wishing to a calm, quiet knowing.
You know, a great historical example of this is the Wright brothers. Even after failing over and over, one of them would reportedly say, "I can see myself riding in that machine, and it travels easily and steadily." They held that clear inner picture, and their actions couldn't help but follow it into reality. All right, let's zoom out for a minute and recap the big pillars of practice that we've covered throughout this whole series, the core principles of your invisible power.
Here they are, all in one place. Your mental picture is your blueprint. The word is your declaration. Faith is your sustained attention on that picture. Works are your aligned actions. Prayer, as we just discussed, is the feeling of already having it. And remembrance is just staying connected to the source of it all.
And just to be super clear on this one point about faith, in this context, it's not blind belief. It's sustained, disciplined attention. It's the ability to hold your focus steady and clear without letting all those contradictory thoughts come in and muddy the waters.
When you put it all together, what you're really doing is building a bridge. It's the bridge that your thoughts walk across to get from the invisible world of ideas into the visible world of your experience. So what's next? Well, I'd really encourage you to continue your practice. You can watch the full playlist on this topic if you haven't, or better yet, go back and rewatch the very first explainer with this new understanding that you have now. And I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments what you're practicing.
And that's a wrap. I'll leave you with one final question to carry with you. What clear, simple, and complete picture will you choose to hold in your mind today? Thank you so much for being here,